speaker, we have Dr. Tatevik. She is a postdoctoral researcher in Brussels Photonics Team, and her works aim to utilize optics and photonics for a better life. So, Tatevik.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Barry, for the invitation, because when you wrote me, I was about to do another event, and actually I'm coming from another event, and people were telling me, are you crazy? You are having too many things at the same time. I said, why not? It's just a pleasure to talk to people who want to listen to you, right? There are too many people who want to share, but no one is there to listen to them. So that's why I know that my title was like Photonics for a Better Life, but I wanted to come up with already a message that I'm happy to be part of the optics and photonics community, because people in this community, they are so nice, they are so cool, and you are just an example of that. So let me start my presentation with from where does it come and where does it go. And I like this photo because it really represents me quite well. I like mountains, and I always used to say that mountains, climbing, going up, it's a character, and it actually shows the ambitions that person has. If you tell me that someone who likes to go to the mountains or climb doesn't have any ambitions, I won't believe, because this is difficulties that you want to overcome, and then it reflects on your career as well. So you get the top, but you see that there are many more higher tops, and you always want to get them. And it's the character and ability that not only me, but there are a lot of people, tons and thousands of people who want to do that. And this picture represents a lot of girls, I guess, in optics, photonics, in science, who are doing great in their job, because it's about motivation, it's about achieving goals. And I really encourage everyone to be brave to do that. So, but let's start, really, I want to tell these stories starting from my childhood. Why photonics, why physics? So when I was small, well, people would guess that, yeah, this girl, she's originally from Armenian, very traditional country. She would most probably like cooking, but absolutely no. I was really not able doing any of that. And my mom was super worried when I was going to Italy for PhD. She was thinking that I would starve. I didn't know anything else except boiling an egg. And it actually was done through clock. Even I didn't know the rest of that. And when I was a kid, I was really interested in doing engineering stuff. So drilling something with wood, then soldering. And my dad is a nuclear engineer, and he has all these tools at home. And these were my favorite things to do. And I was doing it hidden because my parents shouldn't see how much I was doing, trying to fix things and destroying things. But I was always happy because I always get support from my parents to do whatever I wanted to do. Then I started studying physics, and apparently my unique only failed exam was the first exam of physics work. I really failed it. I got 2/5, which is not pass. And it was something shocked for me because it never happened. I was always getting the maximum. And I started really, I didn't know what to do, how to react. And my teacher came to me and said, you are going to be a physicist. I was okay. I'm cute, pretty, they love me, they say something good, but just saying after failed exam that I'm going to be a physicist is too much. And I really didn't believe in that. And I was always joking that, yeah, when people want to make jokes on me, they say that I will be good in something. I'm not aware of that. But apparently, it seems that she saw that I like really doing experiments, I like doing research, and that failed exam was not just not understanding physics, because physics I knew, but I just was not able to write down the equations. Then I learned and so on, and then I became a physicist. So I went to Faculty of Physics in Armenia, and the only person who was a bit disappointed was my math teacher, because she wanted me to do mathematics. But I was happy, everyone was glad there, and yeah, I started studying in STEM field, I started doing science. Yeah, but then how I became involved with everything that I'm doing now. So I did my bachelor and master's in Armenia. Then I started working in a company as a laser engineer because I liked the idea of producing light, and what else if not lasers, right? But in some points, I started also participating in conferences. Actually, at that time when I did it in 2013, it was quite hard for me because I was working in a company, and to share the information from industry was not really a good idea. But I got to the point, I convinced my boss to do some side project that I could also participate in student activities. And apparently there, I got my very first prize. I got Best Poster Prize. I was very, very happy about that. So what could be better than a prize for the very first presentation, right? And then there was a person who actually is someone with me all my life, my sister. She was at that time a member of OSA and SPIE, SPIE and the OSA, or Optica. And she told me, okay, you want to do this, you want to participate in the conferences, then become a member, right? I said, okay, why not? So this girl can be a member of a society also. Even though I barely knew something about that, I just knew that my sister was a part. And then I said, okay, I won the Best Poster Prize, so I'm powerful. Yeah, you know, like sometimes people can really be so much ambitious, but I don't regret because after that I said, okay, I can do presentation in English, which is not, it's my third language, and I can get a prize. Why not? Let's try doing something in international level. So I applied for ICTP, International Center of Theoretical Physics, the winter school, which is every year, and I got accepted. That year, it was, especially for me, very nice. It was about photonics, integrated photonics. I was working with lasers, so I got some background there already. I went there, I met a lot of important people. And actually, there were quite a few very, very important people to me in my life. There was a lady, Armenian lady, who was organizing big conferences in Armenia. So I got to know her in Italy instead of Armenia. There was a professor from Italy, from Trento, who later on, and I was there also, of course, this professor later on came to our table during this social event, started asking questions, who is doing what, from where you are, and so on and so on. And when he knew that I'm a laser engineer, he couldn't believe in that in the beginning because I was like, yeah, I'm a laser engineer, quite shy. And yeah, I was not this confident at that time, you know. And then he talked to me a bit and then asked me to join his group for a PhD. And after some months, already in 2014, I started a PhD in Italy. I was very happy because I really liked the topic. It was integrated biosensors, silicon photonics, chip-based biosensors. I was happily doing my PhD, but at some point it was not enough anymore. I wanted more. I wanted to do more activities like outreach, conferences, and so on and so on. Yeah, but thanks to those activities, later on, I appeared in the place where I am now, in Brussels Photonics in Belgium, because I met my future colleagues in Photonics Europe in Brussels, and I fell in love with this city, Brussels. At that time, I really, really liked the city. But when now I live in the city, I understand that tourism is not always the best way to know the places, although I'm very happy to be in the group where I am now. I will later on talk about my research activities also. So when I was telling that I was not happy enough already with only my good research, I decided to open a student chapter in Trento. And fortunately, luckily for me, my friends and my supervisor, they were all supportive. And yes, my sister also there was with me. So of course it would work out. So we opened the chapter. We organized a lot of local international activities. Yeah, and today marks the 5th anniversary exactly, because 21st of October, the day of photonics, we did in the city center of Trento an event to inaugurate the photonics. No one knew about that. We just booked a bar. We put advertisement everywhere, and we ended up with 150 visitors who came to see what these people are doing in general. And so later on, we have heard many times in different activities in the city that they wanted to see the games with lights that these guys were doing. So it was both successful for the chapter and also a nice outreach activity for the community. And later on, we organized also a quite big international conference, SPIE, with the SPIE's focus grant. And this conference brought me another level of happiness, because I learned that being a student, one can really be brave to organize international events, to chair the conferences, to take care of all the organization events, and it can still be very good. And you can have very famous scientists like Michael Berry, the known Berry face, and you can still do it great, even you are a student. And yeah, after that, I have also started to valuing a lot the networking opportunities, because these conferences are skills and so on, but mainly these are networking possibilities. So after the first IANS that changed my life in 2013, there was a second IANS in 2018 in Armenia again, where there was Terence. You know, everyone knows Terence, who is the coolest person to take care of the chapters in Optica. And I was there also, of course. We met, we talked a lot, we discussed the possibilities of chapters in Italy, because at that time I was still not in Brussels. Yeah, but and I always kept this contact with him. But then there was also another episode very connected to me. And again, my sister was present in 2017 in IONS Paris, and there she met Samuel. They became friends, and then this friendship turned to be friendship between me and Samuel also. So we met also in Photonics West 2020, when still there was no disaster pandemic. And I was like talking to him about being an ambassador, and he was very enthusiastic about that. So I said, okay, why not? I can also be one of those people who can spread the passion about photonics, optics, about what they do and how they do and why they do. But still, that was not the end. So when I was telling about the Armenian lady who organized conferences in Armenia, yeah, we like to organize nice conferences, but we are also known for our hospitality, and we like to have all these cakes, drinks, and everything. And especially it should be with logos, because then you really mark the importance of all the collaboration. So from many years, I was always having this thing. When there was a conference, there should be a logo. So I was playing always with the, not playing, but very responsibly taking care of the marketing stuff. And at some point I was like, okay, it's time. I have to be part of that, and I have to talk about that more often, because I know that, so the event is also Women in Optics. I know that many girls, they are not brave enough to step up for their desire, for their dream. But I just say that it's not for girls to not to do these things, but it's for everyone everywhere. So everyone just need to be brave to do what they feel like. I'm not saying about criminal, of course, but about doing good things, because they make you happy. And when you are happy, you make others also happy. And yeah, now I'm happy. I'm part of this cool 10 people group, a class of 2021 ambassadors, and Margaret, whom I really admire, because when I read the list of ambassadors and I saw that there is an engineer from NASA, and NASA is some dream for me, will never become truth, because I will never be in US citizenship. So for me, Margaret was already the coolest person to meet, you know? And yeah, I'm also an ambassador, and my goal is actually to advocate for students and early career professional rights, because I feel that the early career stage is very important to shape the future community. If someone is happy, confident, is there to go after their dreams, later on they will really build the community in a healthier way. And yes, I also, as I mentioned, like to do a lot of activities, outreach activities. And one of the biggest ones recently was the celebration of International Day of Light in Armenia. It was very first in-person event after pandemic. I'm happy that I'm happy to see that kids are very interested in science. You know, they want to see, and especially photonics, because it's game of light, colors. You put two colors in one on another, change the color, and the kids are happy. They saw magic. So it's for us, for photonics guys, it's quite easy to be that magic people for kids. And this is the way to educate, I think. But something I want to actually mention, I'm very happy about one project that I've realized recently with my ex-university in Armenia. And I'm very happy that actually girls were biggest part of the project. So recently I decided that during summer, students can do some summer job, but for that they can also get ambassador scholarship. So I've contacted Optica and they agreed to support this idea. And I was very happy that the girls applied and did summer job. And when they did the presentation after 6 weeks, it was like someone did a presentation as she worked on that topic for a month, for a year or more. So I saw the impact of the ambassador, of the researcher who is able to change something on the early stage on girls in optics. And this project is going to be continued. I hope many more girls, and not only girls, girls and boys can be part of the photonics optics community and get advantages. And finally, let me talk about my research topics, because a part of all what I talked, I'm a researcher, and I'm really happy to do a lot of research, to do a lot of different studies, because that is what empowers me. So my research, today I will talk about two main topics that I'm working on recently. One is about the first one, which will I focus will be towards compact multimodal spectroscopic devices for the readout of microfluidic organs on chip. So the title is already so complicated, but basically what I want to do, I want to use chips to study cells. So nowadays it's very famous to have organs on chips, so put human organs on out-of-body conditions and study them. This has a lot of advantages. So instead of having like tissues from human body to damaging body, you can already mimic the organs out of body within laboratory conditions or within research centers. And one of the organs that is very much under the research is liver, because damages of liver can be caused by very simple cause, and it can really affect human health. So my research is focused on simulating liver on chip, and for that reason I'm using a specific cell type, hepatic cells, to mimic liver on a chip in my lab. And why liver and my topic, why is that one important? Because when the pharmaceutical companies, they develop drugs, they do a lot of tests within a lot of many years, spend a lot of money. They do tests in animals, they do in humans also, but statistically it's not the same as in a global level. Yeah, we know this problem right now. We are adapting, some people adapt the antiviruses. And this is the case that if you have a trustable device which can exactly work as a human body to test with the drugs, with developed drugs and medicine, then you can do as much statistics as you want. You can develop 2 million chips and really test them in time, shorter than a human being, and then you get the desirable result. But from the other hand, it's also economic damage, because if drug goes to the market and after some time, the damages are risky and they have to be withdrawn from market, it's a financial big loss. And that's why pharmaceutical companies are ready to pay for these small chips if they can provide the trustable results. So we work on that. Nowadays, of course, they are already available chips which have the cells in there, and people can, literary researchers can study their properties out of body. Although, so far, the readout systems are bulky and expensive. So in order to read the signal from this chip, you still need the big lab, big equipment like microscope and spectroscope and so on and so on. So the target would be also to get somewhere that you can have compact system to bring out from your big research lab, from your clean room, and work with patients already on point. My research is exactly focused towards this development on lab-on-chip liver on chip. And so far, I'm also working with the bulky materials in the clean room. I work with fluorescence microscopy and Raman spectroscopy, but my objective is to do miniaturization of all these devices. And so far, with the commercially available lab-based techniques, I was already able to mimic the liver cells out of human body and to understand the viability, which means to understand whether the cells are alive or dead based on the conditions. And different staining dyes have been used in the fluorescence studies to see whether the liver cells have B-PHOT, which are the green ones, the lipids, to localize the cells with a single cell precision, to understand the membranes, whether they are damaged or not, which gives you a possibility to understand the cell if it is healthy or getting damaged. So these are all possible with big commercial devices, but my goal is to have them also small and compact. From the other hand, I use available devices to do spectroscopic studies. And you can see that this one is smaller than the one in my clean room. Although this is still not enough because this doesn't give me, and this is from Tor Labs, it's a commercial available, but it doesn't give me the precision because you can see that the error bars are quite high there. From the other hand, we also do the Raman spectroscopy. I've shown the device, and we were able to localize the cells in a single cell precision and to understand the spectra of lipid, which is the first step towards the development of in-home device, smaller device, because now we have the benchmarking. So it's my next step to go towards, and it's still in the beginning of the research. I have a lot to do yet, but I have already the first demonstration that the techniques can work. And actually, the final goal of this project would be to have everything on a small chip and to be able to develop organ on chip. Yeah, but that's not the only research I do. I also study microplastics in water because I know that, everyone knows that the microplastic presence in our life is nowadays, plastic presence is too much. And we try to avoid as much as possible, but we still are not really able because we were living on plastics. But their damages can be somehow avoided if we know where they are and how much they are. There are specific microplastic types of plastics which are everywhere, and they can really damage us in a way that we are consuming it. So we eat, we breathe, we drink the plastics, and in time it really accumulates the toxicity. So now everyone is talking about the cancer levels. The number of cancer cases is high than before, but the reason is not only stress, which is present there, but also all these chemicals, because plastics are chemicals and we always have them, right? So to avoid and to get healthier the world, we have to stop in some point when we understand the levels of that toxicity. And it was recently there were studies done that also in placenta of unborn babies, they're already plastics. So you can imagine how dangerous they are. And our research, and the chain is continuing until the end. I don't talk even about the environmental pollution because it's everywhere, and the oceans, the global environmental changes are also kind of connected to this problem. And we have a European project to solve somehow, to find solution, to find detection techniques that can help us to detect plastic presence in drinking water, to at least eliminate somehow the consumption of these toxins in our daily life. And for that reason, we again tried to go to the lab-on-chip devices, small, portable, cheap, and so on and so on. And we will, in that case, also use our Raman readout approaches or surface plasma resonance-based sensing. So in both cases, the result will be to understand the concentration, the size, the type of plastic in drinking water. Well, the project is still in the beginning, but we have been able already to understand why Raman, because of different devices have different advantages of mass, shape, number, composition, measurement. But they are actually main two techniques used in microplastic studies, which are Raman spectroscopy and FTIR, which are providing more or less the best results, the best precision in these studies. And yes, we want to go with Raman because it can also be combined with the other techniques easily. And indeed, in the lab-on-chip devices, Raman still can be implemented already. So we have studied, we got the first results on our own microplastic samples to see the spectral properties. We saw the differences. We were able to find the ranges of interest. And because when you want to do a lab on chip, you cannot be so ambitious and take everything. You have to really choose specific parameters, specific ranges that are really describing the properties of the materials, and then you go after those. So that was a Raman, but also for SPR, surface plasma resonance, we will go for the detection methods to understand plastic, how they change the refractive index of the environment, and to detect the refractive index change through this change to understand again the type and the size and composition of the plastics present in water. And what next? Next will be basically for all of us will be to avoid plastic consumption, but it's not really possible yet because I see everywhere. I try to myself use only glass, metal, but it's not really possible because the mouse that I use is already plastic on my hand. But the next step will be for my research, my students, because the work is done by my students, they will try to make the miniaturization of the commercially available devices with their algorithms based on Raman and SPR. And they will try to combine different optical phenomena on a chip, on a smaller chip, to get the knowledge on size, type, concentration of plastic in water. So I didn't want to go too much to the details because the talk was generally about women in optics. I wanted to show that to be brave and following your heart can really give the possibility also to bring benefits to the society, because if you are there, you are brave enough. I say it a lot, but yes, that's the point. If you are brave enough to fight for what you want, and if you want to change something in the world, even environmental changes, you just start from now and don't wait until someone comes to you and asks for that. You should go, you should start, you should discuss for that. And there are a lot of messages, and Margaret was very nicely giving them. I really like that. And I just would like to generalize, just follow your heart and don't be afraid of anything. Yeah, stereotypes are there, but be the one who can break them, right? So I thank you for your attention, and of course, I'm ready for the questions.
Thank you, Tatevik. That was a really nice history about your career, right? All the research you have been doing. So let's see if somebody has any question in the Q&A panel.
I have some questions here.
Of course.
Sorry about that. Okay. Well, it was very interesting. I really liked this presentation because there were many topics that I've never read about them before, and I think I read about single shot on chip spectroscopy before once, and my question is regarding this construction of these spectral sensors as a chips, very small size, and if they are waveguide coupled spectrometers or they were free space coupled devices here. Well, because I don't know if the samples were measured, if the Raman analyses were measured using spectrometers outside these chips or inside, if they were measured.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, because in fact you are asking what we are doing. So far, these are the bulky big instruments that we work not on the chip yet. We are working to benchmark the system, because you take the literature, you read a lot of articles, you see different spectra, but when you try to repeat them, you always get something else. So you better first benchmark your own system, your own approach. So far, what we have done was out of chip, but we have found all the parameters, necessary parameters to go to the chip. And to go to the chip, you can do in different ways. Now you can have waveguides. During my PhD in Italy, I was working on silicon photonics-based biosensors. So my sensor itself was Mach-Zehnder interferometer and microring resonator-based sensor, which are waveguide devices, waveguide-based sensors. So you put the biochemical levels, the functionalization on the chip, then you detect it. This is my PhD was done with waveguide-based sensor, but now we will not use waveguides. We will use optofluidic chips. So we will use glass-based fluid channels, and we will make optical system, not freeform, but also freeform. Yes, we have some part of freeform design, but it's still new. We are working on that. We will use optical elements to build miniaturized system to do these measurements, also to bring Raman to the small chip. So in that case, instead of these big, huge systems, you will have very small one. Well, hopefully you will have laser. You will shine your system, which and then you have the fluidic chip. When your microfluidics are flowing in water, you get the signal, microplastic. You get the signal from the plastic, and you detect, and everything should be done in a compact way.
Oh, okay. That's really great and very challenging, I suppose.
It is challenging in a way that you think, okay, it's a plastic. Yeah, you know the spectra of plastic. But if the plastic is just in a dry condition, it's nice. But if the plastic is in water, the plastic is flowing. So your detector should be fast enough to detect. Your laser should be good enough to focus. I mean, your optical system should be good enough to focus on that point and then collect the light to send to your detector. It's all about trade-off the system, all the parts. And when we talk about photonics, it's not only photonics, it's all about different type of engineerings.
Oh, okay, great. One another question about the suppression techniques. Well, in multimodal analysis, I know that blood fluorescence background presents a major issue in Raman detection. Indeed. So, what are the detection?
That's a great question, actually, because everyone who does Raman, they clearly know they suffer with fluorescence. But when you go for longer wavelengths, although the Raman spectra, because So the fluorescence is very powerful, very intense in shorter wavelengths. Also, Raman is very intense in shorter wavelengths, but it is always lost in fluorescence background. But when you go to longer wavelength ranges, for instance, infrared Raman spectroscopy or near infrared, because we work with 785 nanometers, in that wavelength, you still have measurable Raman spectra, Raman intensities, but the fluorescence signal is almost cancelled.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you always have the fluorescence, but when you move to longer wavelengths, then you have less fluorescence background than for the shorter. And normally, people, the Raman guys, they use longer wavelengths. And yeah, we too, we work with 785 nanometers. And yeah, more is also possible, but 785 is the laser which is commercially available. It is well known, well developed, very much used in Raman technique. So it's a quite famous laser line to be used in these measurements and to avoid fluorescence.
Oh, okay, okay, great. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, we have here a few questions. One in the chat that is from Professor Lysenko is asking, what is the software package was used to calculate plasmonics?
Sorry, what was used? COMSOL. Okay,
COMSOL.
we used COMSOL to simulate the SPR sensor. So of course you can do it with numerical. There are different other analytical softwares that can be used for the COMSOL instead of COMSOL simulation. But my goal to use COMSOL is later on to integrate it with hydrodynamics, because when you have the flow, right, when you have the optofluidic chip on it, you need to have also flow, and to have multiple physical phenomena on one. I think COMSOL is the one to use. It was just about the multiphysics. Was that the question?
Yeah, we have another two questions in the Q&A.
Okay, let me see. I didn't see that question.
Yeah, the first one is, if your physics teacher did not encourage you to propose, will have you give up?
I don't think so, because well, it's also a character. I never give up. I'm always optimistic about anything. I always think that the outcome should be positive. If it is negative, then I suffer, but normally I try to think positive. And yeah, my physics teacher always used to repeat this, that you are going to be a physicist, but actually it's an influence of my parents, my dad, and freedom from my dad and from my mom doing what I wanted to do. Like, you know, when I was going to his garage, I was definitely destroying something, or I was cutting my fingers. It happened several times. But instead of like really nagging me, my dad was always bringing me to wash my cut hand, or he was explaining what was wrong there. I remember once I had a small turtle and I wanted to make a box for that animal. I went to my dad's garage. I really literally cut a very big piece of very expensive material into two. I drilled that, then I broke it. And I always had my sister to cover me because, oh, come on, that was crazy. But when my dad came back home, he didn't nag me. He actually told me, the only really correction was like, why these holes are not symmetric? I was, okay, next time I will do symmetric, you know? That was not, yeah, my teacher really was the first person seeing me in physics, where I basically failed. But it was my parents who always supported me. And yeah, I remember when me, my sister, my brother, we are all doing physics. My other sister is doing medicine. So we are kind of scientific kids. And we always had this support from our parents. So definitely I would not give up.
Sure. Well, we have one more question here. It is from Karen. Yep. She said, how to manage your time to work and be such an active volunteer?
Okay. Well, not sleeping enough. But also because you like it. You do something that you like. If you like, you manage.
Yeah.
This is what I felt. And also, it's not always like I could not do any of what I have done alone. I always had my family, my sister, my brother now helping me a lot. All these activities in Armenia, I actually initially forced him to help me, but now he's really, he got the point that it's really important. I always had the support. I have very, very good friends who always are there in my back and always helping me to realize all these ideas. So in Italy, when we opened the chapter, there was just a lone person cannot do these things. So there were people who trusted in me, who followed me, and then who took over. And they were, I mean, we did international conferences and we were splitting the duties. Everyone was there. Then also in Armenia this summer, I was not in Armenia, but I wanted to have this summer school. And my brother, a friend of mine, who is, I think, here, Lucine, they just took over and they did everything there, but because it was important. So it's not always a lone person. If you want to be successful, you have to have your close network. You have to have people whom you trust and people who would really say, okay, she's crazy, but okay, let's do that. Because when sometimes I ask to do something, first of all, they ask what, then no, they say yes, and then they ask why, which is exactly the success.
Yeah, this is totally true.
Yeah.
Well, is there no more question? I think we can start the closing time, right? So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and for us was a really pleasure to have you here and all the speakers from the last time and today. So this is the event that we want to continue, right? So the idea is like each semester, we are going to try to continue making a Woman in Optics events like this one. So with different speaker and different persons. So this is really nice. So we really appreciate that you have the time for this first time doing this for us. And really, we're really happy for everything. So everything was perfect. So do you have something to say, Diego, for closing?
Oh, yes, I want to say thank you all of the attendees and participants, and of course the speakers for coming to our first event of Women in Optics. We look forward to do more events like this. We enjoy it a lot. I enjoy myself a lot this event because it was great to obviously firstly in my case to know the research of many people, many successful people now in optics, but second of all because of their experience. It was very enlightening to know their experience, and well, I just want to extend the invitation to all of our attendees that please join to Optica Association because it will be very great. Well, you heard all of the experience of many people to do outreach, to do research, to go abroad, and I want to motivate you to do it because it's a unbelievable experience. You will meet too many people from all other countries around the world, and and that will increase your critical and physical mind, and well, that's it. Yeah, that's my interview.
Well, with that being said, thank you very much again, Tatevik, and for all the participants and all the attendants today that were here listening for all the knowledge and all the advices that have been receiving from today and from the last webinar. So this is all for today. So be tuned for the next events. We'll be sending in the futures, and next week, all the videos of the speaker from the day 1 and the day 2 will be available on the channel, on the YouTube channel of the Optica chapter UPRM. So thank you very much for everyone for coming today, and see you next time.